So then he goes on to say, my preferred option was to point the bow towards the yacht club dock. Right, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the vlog. If you're new to the channel, a big warm welcome. My name is Tristan Mortlock and this is Captain's Vlog. Now, initially in today's video, we were going to be talking about the accident that happened between Motor Yacht Minx and Motor Yacht Vision. However, today, the captain of the Motor Yacht Go, which crashed in St Maarten recently, has published a statement on a news article, and what we're going to do is go through that statement and see what he says, because some of you may know that on last week's live stream I said to everybody to wait for the statements from the captain, the crew, the management, and more importantly from the MAIB, because the internet being the internet, everybody jumped on the poor captain saying you should fire him, he should be driving a taxi, without any data, without any information. That's why it's so important to gather as much data and information as possible before making any kind of judgment, because nobody knows what happened on board that vessel apart from the captain and his crew that were on board at the time. So we're going to go through the statement. I'm going to show you some videos of the incident, and after I've read this already, to me it makes sense what he says. With this statement I would agree with what he said, because in the live stream I think I mentioned maybe dropping the anchor, but I also said there's probably a reason why they didn't, and he explained why. And let's go through what he's written here. And I have to say, like I said in the live stream, unfortunately this particular gentleman has worked in the super yacht industry or the luxury yachting industry for around 40 years. And he's been very successful. He's run a number of very well-known successful vessels throughout the world. And the issue is he might be remembered for this one incident, even though he's had a successful 40-year career. So let's go through what he said, and then at the end I will give a little bit of my opinion, but I don't really want to give my opinion based on his statement. I'd rather give my opinion based on the MAIB report, assuming the MAIB do want to do a report on the incident. If you don't know what the MAIB is, it's the Marine Accident Investigation Branch. So let's get straight into it and we can see what he says here. So here we have the title of the report on the Daily Herald is "The Captain of Go Opens Up on the Mega Yacht's Unexplained Malfunction." Here we have a photo of Captain Simon Johnson on the bridge of the Motor Yacht Go. So the first thing in quotes he says here, "I am proud that we walked away from a crash landing." Captain of the 77-meter long Mega Yacht Go, Simon Johnson has sought to dispel rumours, answers critics, and sets the record straight with an all-exclusive interview with the Daily Herald by describing the moments prior to the yacht's sudden control malfunction in the crucial minutes of the line-up procedure to exit Simpson Bay Lagoon on Wednesday, February 24th. He says the incident has inevitably brought his competence into question. The ultra-modern yacht built in Turkey back in 2018 is entirely computer-driven. Now this is very important, guys. Yet for all the latest electronics and bridge brimming with the computer screens and display, the software apparently failed the British captain at the worst possible moment. So basically the software had the critical software failed at the most critical moment as he was lining up to exit Simpson Bay, leading to his choosing a deliberate impact with the St Maarten Yacht Club wooden dock. Now this is a critical piece of information here, because remember, he was lining up to exit out of the bridge. So it could possibly have been a lot worse. More than likely, it would have been a lot worse. A second run into the dock was caused by yet again a computer miscommunication between the bridge and engine room in a bid to regain control of the vessel. The captain confirmed that the yacht's insurance assessors are progressing well in their survey of all the damage sustained to the boat, which is minimal, and the dock, and are engaged to set things right. That said, the root causes of the malfunction have not yet been definitively identified, and an intensive investigation is underway, while the yacht remains at the Isle de Sol Marina. Captain Johnson has defended his unblemished record as captain and his split-second decisions that averted a far worse disaster. Like an airline pilot reacting to something unexpectedly going wrong mid-flight, Johnson was faced with a similar predicament. And the difference obviously being that on a plane, there are 400 souls on board cruising at 30,000 feet. In some ways, Wednesday's extraordinary incident was Johnson's miracle in the lagoon moment. So they're obviously referring here to, Captain Sully and what happened on the Hudson. There were no injuries. This is this bit is the most crucial part, I think, about this whole article, because the master on any vessel has three main responsibilities: the safety of life, the safety of the vessel, and the safety of the marine environment. Now listen to this. So what they said, the miracle on the lagoon moment. There were no injuries, no lives lost, there was no oil spill, and the bridge was still intact. So he did everything the captain should do based on this article. He then goes on to say that he was proud that he walked away from a crash landing, and most importantly, there was no injuries and the island's arterial row bridge was not compromised. Now, Motor Yacht Go's width is 13.5 meters, the widest yacht to date to come through the bridge with just 50 centimeters of space on each side left to pass. So that says to me, he's been in and out of Simpson Bay multiple times. And it's the widest yacht ever to go through the bridge with half a meter on each side. Bear in mind, the length of this vessel is 77 meters. Now to do that, it takes an exceptional amount of experience, an exceptional amount of knowledge, and extraordinary ship handling skills. And it goes on to say here that Motor Yacht Go has passed through the bridge in St Maarten perhaps 20 times, always with a well-trained crew. Now I'm guessing for a lot of you, your opinion about the whole incident is probably starting to change. And I must say, the master is ultimately responsible for the vessel. But after reading this, a lot of it, what I saw in the video, is starting to make sense. This is why I said in last week's live stream, let's wait to hear about the reports. Okay, so then the captain goes on to say, with not much water between us and the bridge, I always set to align my stern and get parallel well in time for the bridge. Basically what that means, let's say the bridge opening is here. He needs to come in and then turn to starboard, bring his stern and his bow align with the bridge before going through the bridge once the bridge has been lifted. He then goes on to say, we left the dock an hour before and went through all the checks. So by checks, this will be his pre-departure checks. So assuming there'll be full ISM, they will have, like we do on Motor Yacht AWOL, a pre-departure checklist and a pre-arrival checklist. And there'll be a checklist for both the engineering, the bridge, and the interior department. On this day, there was nothing different from other times we've done this exit. I was in good shape. The wind was a brisk 24 knots. I must say that's quite a wind to be going through the bridge. That's quite brave, but he's done it multiple times. And they were getting pushed towards the bridge. Okay, so for those who don't really know about boat handling, personally, now I'm not sure if all captains will agree with this, on AWOL, we have most control on the vessel when we have winds astern of us. We've got two big propellers on the very stern. We have full control. If we had the wind, say, on the beam, on the bow, it starts pushing the bow around, and then you don't lose control of the vessel, but it's harder work to control the vessel. So in this situation, he had the wind on his stern, which is, for me personally, it's my favorite situation in high wind maneuvering. So then the Captain Johnson goes on to say, then we were about 50 meters away and holding position. So basically what was happening, he was 50 meters away from the bridge and he was waiting for the bridge to open. Then the yacht started moving mysteriously forward. There was nothing I seemed to be able to do. All the controls on the bridge were showing normal. I called the engine room and everything was normal down there. I found I had extremely limited control, almost limited to only the bow thruster. So imagine that. Imagine your engines are doing whatever they want to do and your rudders, and it seems that the only control you have is your bow thruster. What would you do in that situation? Now you're probably thinking, probably drop the anchor, probably see if I can do the emergency stops on the main engines, but just, hold fast and let's read the rest of this article. So I found I had extremely limited control, almost limited to only the bow thruster. But with now only 50 meters between us and the bridge, I had to make a decision fast. I certainly did not want to put the anchor down. Here's why. That would have been disastrous. By the time the anchor hit the bottom, we would have been 30 meters further in. Then we would have pinned the bow. Okay, so going in, so drop the anchor 30 meters further in. Then what he's saying, remember that the wind's behind him. Then what he's saying, he would have pinned the bow and slewed the stern towards the rocks and the road bridge. So what he's saying is, say the vessel is moving forward, he dropped the anchor, the vessel continues to move forward until the anchor hits the bottom. Anchor then locks, and then it locks the bow, spinning the bow around, and then the stern of the vessel will start coming in towards the road and to the bridge. So given what he's saying there, it was a good call. Again, I want to wait for the MAIB report. He says, we have 160,000 litres of fuel on board. If I had done that, so if you had dropped the anchor, I would not only have disabled the bridge, but potentially breached the hull. So what would happen? The vessel would have come towards the rocks, and what he's saying is the wind would have pushed the vessel onto the rocks, therefore possibly piercing the hull, possibly piercing the fuel tanks, spilling 160,000 litres of diesel into the bay. So then he goes on to say, my preferred option was to point the bow towards the yacht club dock and beach her gently there. I had a crew member up front shouting a warning to make sure everyone was out of the way. If you remember, if you saw the video, they had crew members on the bow, also with a few fenders calling people off. Captain Johnson said he is deeply upset by the incident. Understandably, honestly, as a captain, I feel for the guy. These things happen to the best of us. You have a malfunction in a critical situation. These malfunctions don't happen in the middle of the sea when you've got big open space and not going to crash into anything. They happen when you're docking the boat, coming to port, high wind conditions, in this case 24 knots, and that's when you're at your most alert, is in those situations. And that's when what you can do is hope that nothing's going to malfunction, but sometimes these things do happen. So he was deeply upset by the incident, but not concerned for his own record. So he has done 28,000 miles on Motor Yacht Go during his 3.5 years as its captain. He has been in the business for 40 years, guys. 40 years he's been in the business for, and 35 of those years as a captain. On Motor Yacht Go alone, he has visited well over 270 ports, 276 to be exact, and often maneuvered her in the tightest places. So for sure, he's got great handling experience. Captain Johnson goes on to say, I'm very proud of my handling of yachts. He stressed, my biggest concern was not to stop the activity of the island, which I'm very fond of, by taking out the bridge. I used to live here and have many friendships over the years. So Captain Johnson then goes on to say, the fact that there were no warning alarms, no lights on board to indicate something was wrong was really scary. I can understand that. I know this yacht so well, yet I had 13 seconds to make a decision before hitting the bridge. The decision I made was one I would make again if faced with the same circumstances. So let me know, guys, what would you have done in this situation? Bear in mind, you've got a 77-meter yacht in a very tight space, 24 knots of wind, and you have no control of your vessel. I think he did pretty well, considering. Most important thing, no loss of life, no damage to the marine environment, and the vessel, I believe, the hull wasn't pierced, so the vessel's still intact and seaworthy. I guess I don't know if the flag state or the classification societies have done any investigations on the state of the hull yet. But looking at it, looking at it from the videos, again, it's a bit blurry. It looked okay, but he did well. He goes on to say, we will not leave this dock until the Lloyd's insurers approves the repairs, and then we will have to do a sea trial to check all the systems. I might not be at liberty to share a conclusion yet with these investigations ongoing, but it's looking like a computer malfunction seized us into gear. We are of course confident this will be solved. He criticised modern electronics as getting ridiculously over the top with no manual overrides. I honestly couldn't agree with him more. The amount of electronics that the new yachts are getting with no manual overrides is simply ridiculous. Go has 14 computers on the bridge and 2 more below decks. Now, let me tell you guys something about these. I know you, in your mind, for those who don't work on super yachts and mega yachts, you probably think these things are indestructible, that how can you spend that much money and have a malfunction? Believe me, it happens, you know. It's to be honest with you, although the computers are what we call SOLAS approved, they had the wheel mark, they still crash, they still malfunctioned, they're not perfect. And unfortunately, that day wasn't Captain Johnson's day. So then he goes on to say, questions have to be asked in this industry about what's going on. Who is building these boats? Who is designing them? Who is supervising them? And why we aren't being asked what we, captains, need to operate them, he said. Right, so this is exactly what I said in last week's live stream. I had an up-and-coming naval architect / yacht designer asking me, you know, what would I do to, you know, how would I design a boat? And my answer was, I don't understand why these boat designers and naval architects don't speak more to captains, to engineers, the people that end up spending the most time on board and the most time at sea. And we are not ever called. I don't understand it. So I completely agree with him there. The owner of Go released the following statement. The owner is extremely supportive of the captain's decisions and performance. Personal, economic, environmental disaster was averted for the island. I have full faith and confidence in the captain and am very grateful. So my hat goes off to the owner. Some of you know when we had the fire on board in Barcelona back in 2008, the owner kept me employed, and all these years later, how long is it now? 15 years, still working for the same guy. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the article. So, again, I ask you, do you agree with what Captain Johnson says here? I have to say, reading what's been said, again, I'd like to read the MAIB report, assuming they do one. is he made the right decision. There was no loss of life, there's no damage to the marine environment, and the vessel was not compromised. So good on him. And let me know what you guys think. All right, so that's the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I know I was supposed to do the MAIB reports on the incident between Minx and Vision. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link up here. That was me just reading the report, going through it. In the next video, I'm going to be dissecting the report, because I think there's a few weaknesses in the report that's not very clear, and some paragraphs in the report, in my opinion, seem a bit misleading. Anyway, guys, really hope you enjoyed that video. I look forward to seeing you all next time. See you and ciao.